When we graph linear functions, there are three different formats for how you can look at a linear equation. There's slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form. And today we're going to be looking at slope-intercept form. Each one of these has a strength and a weakness, and they have times when we use them more in real-world type situations. Today we're looking at the basics, writing the equations, graphing the equations, and going from there. So first we're going to do a quick review of, can we evaluate expressions? So the first one, we're going to find f of -2, right? So we substitute in, and we simplify. So f of -2 is 3, and we're going to evaluate for 0. And we get that f of 0 is 7. We're going to do the same thing for our second example. Here we get that f of -2 is -8. And then finally for f of 0 here, so evaluating, we substitute and simplify. So slope-intercept form comes in the equation y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. All right, so this number here is your slope. Let's turn the line on. And b is the y-intercept. Now you'll notice in the format, okay, it's always going to be plus b. That does not mean that b cannot be negative. If b is negative, then we can either write it as plus a negative b or mx minus b. We're also going to look at how we can graph a linear function using slope-intercept form. First thing we do, identify and plot the y-intercept. Then we'll use the slope to plot additional points, and then we'll draw a line. So the first example here, we have a slope of 1/5 and the y-intercept is -3, 0, -3. So my m is 1/5 and my b in this instance is -3. So I can write my equation. It's going to be y equals 1/5 x, and I can either do plus a -3 like that, or I can rewrite it to -3. Both are correct, both are accurate. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is plot my y-intercept. Just zoom in so you can see. My y-intercept is at 0, -3. So I'm going to go to 0, -3. Now, to use my slope, I have 1/5. That's a positive number, so the slope should be going from bottom to top. When you're looking at your slope, it's the rise over the run. Okay? But it can also be the opposite. You can also go down and to the right, either way. So I start here and I go up 1, and then I can go over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I make a point. The point goes where the two lines intersect. Or I can go down 1 and back 5. So down 1 and then back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Then you take your ruler and you're going to connect the dots. Because it is an equation and a line, you want to put arrows at the end. Notice my line extends beyond the points here to the edges of my graph to show that it would continue, and it's not just connecting those points, because I can get many, many, many values for x, and they would all be true. So I can go up and to the left, up and to the right, or down and to the left for a positive slope. All right, let's take a look at our next example. Here my slope is -2, and my b value, my y-intercept, is at 0, 7. So I will write my equation. Y equals -2x plus 7. I start by plotting my y-intercept at 0, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, my slope is -2. So that means my graph should have a picture going from the top to the bottom. Now, slope should be written as a fraction. So I can take my -2 and write it as a fraction with a 1 in the denominator. So to make this picture, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. Or I can go up and to the left. So those are my two options when I have a negative slope. So we can write that down, right? Here I had positive slope, and I went up, and then I went to the right, or I went down and left, and over here I have a negative slope, and I can either go down and right, or up and left. Those are my options. So if I go down 2, 1, 2, and to the right 1, or I can go up 2 and to the left. Then I take my ruler and I draw my line. So if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, you should be able to write the equation, and you should be able to graph. Now, not all equations are given to you in slope-intercept form, but it would be easier if you could graph them in slope-intercept form. So this format is actually standard form, which we'll go over in another video. But I can use algebra and literal equations to solve this equation for y. So I'm going to do that on the side right here. So if I have 4x plus 2y equals -6, I can subtract 4x. So I'm left with 2y equals -4x minus 6. And then I can divide each term by 2, and I'm left with y is equal to -2x minus 3. So all I did was solve for y. So I'm going to identify my slope is -2 over 1. So I'm going to go down and to the right. I'm going to go up and to the left. And my intercept is at -3. The intercept is at -3. So if you see, my equation was supposed to have a plus b. Because it's minus 3, that means my intercept is a negative number. So I'm going to start with my intercept. And then I'm going to plot using my slope. So 1, 2 over 1, or up 2, back 1. Use my protractor to connect the dots, just like that. Okay. Let's take a look at another example here. Here I have negative 3x plus 6y equals 6. So again, it's currently written in standard form, so I'm going to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to solve my equation for y. So I'm going to start by adding this 3x. Then I divide each term by 6. So y is equal to 1/2 x plus 1. I simplified my fractions. So my slope is 1/2. So I go up and to the right, or down and to the left. And my b value here is 1. So I'll graph my y-intercept, up 1 over 2, or down 1, back 2. Use my ruler, connect the dots. Okay. All right, now the next step is to be able to look at the equation and look at the graph and write the equation. So to write the equation, we're going to need the slope and the y-intercept. So I have, you can make a triangle. So you can either find the slope, calculate it using the formula we had before, or we can just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my vertical change is I went down 7, so negative 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 6. And then our intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, looks like. So y equals negative 7, 6 x minus and I can check this value because it's not an integer. Instead, what I can do is I can solve using this ordered pair. So I have the ordered pair negative 4, 0. So I can substitute that in. I know it's going to be a negative number, but I can just do plus b here. So I get that 0 is equal to 28 over 6 plus b. So b is equal to negative 28 sixths, or negative 14 thirds, which is, oh, sorry about that, which is negative 4 2/3. So I was close with my estimate of 4.5, but I knew because this was a 6, it wasn't going to actually be 4.5, so I wanted to be more accurate. So I found my b value by using my slope and one of my ordered pairs. So my final equation is y is equal to negative 7/6x minus 14/3. You can leave it as a mixed number for your final, or an improper fraction for your final answer, or a mixed number. All right, let's look at example 2. This one's a little more straightforward because my intercept is actually an integer, so that will be very nice. So again, you can identify your ordered pairs. -4, -4, and 0, -2, and use the formula, or you can just draw your triangle and count. 1, 2, up 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is 1/2. It's going bottom left to top right, so my slope should be positive. My b value is -2. Again, much easier when your intercept is an integer. So then y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. So that's part 3, is given a graph, can you write the equation? All right, and the final piece is that if you're given 2 points, can you write an equation for the line? So the first thing I'm going to find, it's going to be very similar to what we did for example A. So first I'm going to find the slope. All right, so 1, I'm going to find m. Then I'm going to use an ordered pair and m to find b. Then I will write the equation. So x1, y1, x2, y2, -1 minus -3 over 5 minus 4 is 2 over 1, or 2. You can decide which point you use. You can use the first one or the second one. It does not matter. I'm going to use the first one for this one. I'll use the second one for the next one. All right, so y equals 2x plus b. I'm using 4 and -3. So -3 equals 2 times 4 plus b. -3 equals 8 plus b. b equals -11. I subtracted the 8 from both sides. So my final equation, y equals 2x minus 11. Our final example, we have 3, 0, and -3, 2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. 2 minus 0 over -3 minus 3 is going to give me 2 over -6, which is -1/3. So y equals -1/3 x plus b. I said I would use the second point this time, so 2 equals -1/3 times -3 plus b. 2 equals 1 plus b. Subtract the 1. b equals 1. So my final answer here is y equals -1/3 x plus 1. So now you should be able to write an equation given the slope and the intercept and graph it. You should be able to graph a linear equation in slope-intercept form, even if it's not given to you in slope-intercept form. Write an equation from a graph, and write an equation from 2 points.